4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovey offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy E.T. Look, if you're looking to or you got to raise the bar on your marriage, you gotta click the link and get into Married into Crazy, y'all. I'm telling you, this coaching is gonna take your relationship to another level. Now look, you already know you need to raise the bar. You know that already. So stop thinking or overthinking. Click that link, and Marriage into Crazy is gonna take you and your spouse to marital bliss. Now you know. Click the button. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. I'm Lovey.
I'm Snooks.
And here we are once again. Hey, Happy New Year. What?
And here we are once again.
It's kind of, so we just celebrated our 27th anniversary, if you listen to the last podcast. And I just got to say that's kind of been the MO for the last 27 years. Here we are once again.
Wow.
Oh, I get myself in trouble. If you guys knew after every podcast how she's like, okay, so what did you mean by?
Okay, first of all, that does not happen.
Often.
Because I would call you out on the podcast. I don't have to wait.
She's right. But,
I know. Anyway, and they know too.
Kind of right. Hey, we want to thank each and every one of you for coming back to the Married into Crazy podcast. Whether you're listening to us on your favorite podcast venue that you've downloaded and subscribed to, or you're watching us on YouTube, we are truly grateful, very grateful. So what we do ask, though, is that if you're just watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and take a moment, hit that subscribe button. And when you get an opportunity, go over to the Married into Crazy website. So marriedintocrazy.com, and you can see all the different ways that we support marriages across the world. There's a variety of different ways, whether it be coaching, clothing, what else do we
Podcast.
do? Yeah, podcast.
Raise the bar.
Raise the bar. Yep. There's a video training series that's there if you don't really want to sit down and do the couple-to-couple coaching that we do. So there's a lot of different things that we do. And it's not always just about us. As you look through the library of podcasts or shows that we've done, you'll see there's us, of course, sharing either anecdotal things, experiential things that we've gone through. We've also brought on subject matter experts in a variety of areas.
Excuse me.
Sex, psychology, child raising. There's been a variety of individuals that have come on, but we also have other couples. We've had Grammy award-winning artists. We've had professional athletes. We've had the restaurateur next door. We've had a variety of individuals, but all with a very unique love story. So keep coming back. Tell friends and family to actually join the conversation by subscribing, and let's make this thing great and lift up the covenant of marriage.
Yep. What he said.
And every now and then she's going to chime in and add a few words here and there.
Here we go. Lovey loves to say that because you have your whole spiel. So why would I jump in and interrupt? Because sometimes, when that happens, you might forget what you were about to say.
No, I just go off the dome. See, I'm like that.
Here we go.
I guess I could speed a few lines right now if you want.
I don't want.
Oh, okay. I was never an aspiring rapper. I wasn't. My family tells me every day. Even Isaiah is like, Papa, no.
No, Papa.
Hey, but what he does say yes to is the love that we give him. And that love is generated specifically from us praying in the morning and sharing our marriage mantra and then going back and kind of spreading that, if you will, throughout the house as best we can. Did you see this? I mean, let me ask you something. 28 years ago, when we first got together and the nerd won you over with a just this amazing charm that he has. Did you foresee this? Did you see
us doing podcasts?
Well, the 27 years just evolving, all the things we've done, places we've gone, our journey.
I mean, the expectation was that yes, we would be together forever. that fateful night in 1995 when we not when we met, Christmas Eve. But I mean, yeah, I did see it. I just didn't. I could see it. I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't. All the nooks and crannies and stuff like that. No, there are things that I had wanted to do. Travel and that kind of thing, and we've been able to do that. Why are you laughing?
You said nooks and crannies, and I immediately thought all the nooks and crannies and crevices and canyons. There's been a lot.
Well,
There's been a
yeah.
lot
I
over
mean, because I just mean, like you said, all that. No, I didn't see any. No, I didn't see any of the stuff that we went through.
And the reason why I asked that is because though we had a vision for what our marriage was, what we wanted it to be, what we thought it was going to be, the happily thereafter, it didn't unfold the way that we anticipated. And I'd be curious.
It did not.
Has your marriage unfolded the way that you thought it was going to? I don't know that I've met a couple that actually has said. And if you have, please chime in. Hit us up at info@marriedintocrazy.com. Send an email and let us know your love story.
Somebody going to be like, yeah, I knew she was going to be crazy. I knew he was going to act a fool. I knew blah, blah, blah. But we was going to work it out.
And that's okay. That's the way it should be, right? Not the crazy act a fool, but unless crazy is
not the compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding crazy, just like
the other kind.
The other kind, your family kind.
Oh, shots fired! Hey, but look, the reason why I say that is because even though we have a vision, you don't know what's going to unfold. Mm-mm. And it's so funny. A lot of times, like one of my favorite songs, like Bonnie and Clyde and Pac, when he was talking about me and my girlfriend. And when you say that, there's this fallacy that's out there. I consider it to be a fallacy.
What?
Where we talk about, we're going to go through life side by side, standing next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, and we're going to do everything, right there. And I think that that's a mistake. That's a wrong way to look at how husband and wife should be traveling their journey through life.
So why do you think that that's a mistake though? Like, why wouldn't I want to be side by side with you? That means that I'm experiencing the same things that you're experiencing, or I'm there with you while you're experiencing them. True,
but there's a variety of other ways that we could actually stand that we're still experiencing the same thing, and we're in proximity to each other, but it gives us better vision. Because think about it. Okay, look, here's a visual. If you were to look right now, looking straight ahead, right at the camera, and we have this thing called peripheral vision. She's so funny. I hope you're watching YouTube right now. But yeah, peripheral vision, right? So a peripheral vision, it only gives you 180 degrees of vision. You can see off to the side, not even exactly 180 degrees, but it's a little bit less than 180 degrees of vision. Slightly.
I got about 190. If I turn my head.
No, not turn your head.
Right.
You got to keep your head straight. You can only see.
My head's straight, but I'm looking like I can see right there.
Anyway.
And I can see like right there.
But if you're standing side by side, you as a couple only have about 180 degrees of vision. So you can see what's in front of you and what's to the side of you for the most part, but you definitely can't see what's behind you. So the fallacy part to me is not that we need to be shoulder to shoulder, side by side, stride for stride, step for step, but realistically back to back. Meaning you got my back, I've got your back. You've heard that, right? I've got your back.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
You heard that.
Yes,
our brother's a detective, right? And so a lot of police officers, people in law enforcement talking about, I got your six. Mm. Same thing in the military. I got your six.
I was going to say, did you know that was a military term for, I know you're in the service. I'm just asking. I'm just asking, did you know that it was for military aviation? Did you know that? Or you just
You
took
do
it?
know that when I first went in the military, I was an avionics
Here we
troop.
go. Okay, so they taught you that you were what? Avionics?
I was avionics. I worked avionics, inertial navigational
Excuse me.
systems.
Sorry.
I was an avionics troop. I worked on
Avionics
inertial
troop.
navigational systems.
So they said they taught you that's what that meant. Like,
If you look at the clock, you've got 12 on top, 6 on the bottom.
yeah.
And when somebody says, because if you're citing somebody for like a sniper or you're looking at a shooter, you're talking about where are you looking at? No, let me just say this. You're looking at.
I wanted to say it.
Okay, go ahead. I didn't know you were going there.
I was asking, did you know the history
You
of
were
it?
asking me, so I was explaining. Go.
No. I just was saying that it was the military aviation, and it was based referencing clock position, the clock system. So anyway, I wasn't going to give a whole dissertation, but
Well, it also happens when you're shooting. Like if somebody says, "Okay, where are you at?" Okay, check your 1 o'clock. You would see your 1 o'clock. If you guys ever go back and watch like Top Gun and those types of movies, you'll hear people always say, "It's your 3 o'clock. Your 3 o'clock. Look at your 3 o'clock." And if you're talking about look at your 3, look at your. Those are all positions on the clock. So when you say I got your 6, that means directly behind you, because you're pointed towards. I'm not going to call it true north, but you're pointed towards the 12. So that's your reference point, and that's why it says check your 1. You know exactly where, because right in front of you is 12. Then you know where your 1 o'clock, your 9 o'clock, your 3 o'clock, all those different things. So yes, that's where check your 6 comes from. But when I get into all this regarding our relationships, it's about knowing that the person that you're with actually has your 6, actually has your back. But that only happens if you have extreme trust, absolute trust. That means that I don't need to see what's directly behind me because I trust that person that I'm with that says that has my back. So I think a spouse, and here's why. 2 spouses, husband and wife, standing back to back. We each have 180 degrees of vision. Now you've got 360 degrees of vision.
so do we get a swap?
You can spin around all you want.
Because I say that, I mean, and maybe I'm being too literal, but
You are.
you didn't even let me finish.
Oh, was that my outside voice? I am so sorry.
Never mind.
No, go ahead. Say it.
No, I'm just saying. So it's like I in my head, okay, the visual, like you said, backs together. I got your 6, you got mine, but I feel like when that should only happen, or the 360, when there's trouble, because we're moving in the same direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we're moving in the same direction, and okay, like my hands, our backs, if we're moving this way, that means that I'm not gonna never be able to see what's around if I'm always facing the back. Does that make sense?
You ever watch those martial arts movies where you got 2
flying
people,
trees and stuff like that?
not the ones where they're flying through trees and stuff. I'm talking about,
Those are the good ones.
what was that? The Hidden Dragon, something
Crouching
sword,
Dragon,
Hidden Tiger. No,
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
so no.
Best movie.
When you watch those movies and you have some people that are like, they're fighting like a crowd, like these 2 guys go into whatever, and all of a sudden everybody starts attacking them from all over, right? The warring clan is attacking them. Mm-hmm. These guys are back to back fighting each other, but they don't stay stagnant. Like, okay, I'm going to stay at the 12 o'clock, you stay at the 6 o'clock. If anything comes from the side, too bad. We're just going to get pummeled. No, they're spinning. They're always back to back. They find their way back to back. And when you say only when there's trouble, I don't agree with that. And here's why.
Tell me.
I got permission to tell you. The reason why is because it's not just about trouble. People think, okay, I got your back. And that's traditionally what it is, right? I got your back. I'm going to make sure you're okay. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side of that, I would love for you to have my back and be able to identify opportunities that I have blind spots for.
Well, that's exactly what it's for. It's for blind spots.
But we always think trouble. Mm-hmm. What about opportunity? There's things that we might see, or you might see that I won't see if we're looking in the same direction.
That always happens.
It does. She ain't lying. Well, because there's been things over time where there's financial opportunities. There's different things, views on how to handle certain things. I always think finances because you've got a great financial mind. But there's things, and there's things that I see that, you'll say, I didn't think of it that way. That's me, metaphorically having your back, looking in a different direction or having a different perspective on how I might approach this situation or this opportunity or what it might mean for us. Same thing with you. It's not just about trouble. It's about also finding out, like, hey, there's an opportunity over there that I wasn't even aware of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you put it like that, because sometimes we do have to save you from, the other person from themselves.
No, you specifically said save me. You said save me.
But you know what I mean? Like, like earlier I said, I'm overthinking, and you're like, you are, So in those situations where, because I feel like I operate more cautiously than you do. So in those times, there are times where you had to have my back. No, let me move you because we gonna stay here all day on this.
Amen.
And then there are times where I had to move you.
That just happened. That just happened.
That I had to move you?
She had to move me. She had my back. So I made a payment on a credit card.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord.
I wanted to make like a big...
Good Lord.
So we had this promotional rate that was expiring soon. We had a 0% promotional rate that was expiring. And I thought, we still have a balance there. I want to go ahead and get rid of that. Let me go ahead and pay that and get it taken care of. So I go ahead and pay it. I'm not going to say what company card it is, but I'm not a big fan of their app. So I'm looking on the app like, okay, I just made the payment. This isn't making any sense. So I thought, okay, well, let me give it 24 hours and take a look again. I go back in the next day. I can't find my payment anywhere. And I'm like, dag nabbit, we're coming up on the expiration date. I'm like, okay, let me just go ahead and make this payment. I must have did something wrong.
The expiration date wasn't for at least 4 more days, but go ahead.
And I went in, I made another payment. And as soon as I made that other payment, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I should talk to Snooks about this.
Go ahead.
So I tell Snooks, and she's like, are you kidding me right now? She's like, why didn't you just wait? Give it till Monday, because I did it over the weekend. She said, give it till Monday, and then it'll actually show up. And I'm like, yeah, but I wanted it done while it was on my mind. I'm like, if I think about it, I want it done right now. That's just my nature. And sometimes you have to fight your nature, but I didn't. I ran with my nature. She called it my knee-jerk reaction. Knee-jerk
reaction. First of all, mistake number 1, why allowing Lovey to pay to bills. That's first mistake. Okay, why are you paying the bills? But anyway,
27 years and I ain't learned yet.
So I'm like, okay, he was, sometimes you just gotta give grace, right? So it was on his mind, and he was really hard pressed about it. We were going over our stuff. Okay, our what I want to call it, early yearly meeting or whatever.
A financial meeting, beginning of the year, going over
everything,
transactions, stuff that we did over the past year, looking at.
Right. So, I mean, it was it was pretty much a long process that we just kind of went through everything. So, but he was feeling good about it. So he's feeling himself, and so, yeah, I'm going to make this payment, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay.
I'm like, I know the numbers. I'm going to make this happen.
So it's like, well, it didn't show up. I said, baby, you just made it. You just made it. Like, literally just right now, you made it. So he was like, well, the other one, when you do it, it automatically shows like that. I was like, well, all cards are not the same.
Right, true, because I have a favorite card. I put everything on my favorite card. So I didn't pay it off, but I'm like, it ain't doing what it's supposed to do.
So then he was like, okay, so I'm going to wait and I'll see him. But I'm like, why are you tripping? Because you literally just made the payment. You saw yourself make the payment. You didn't. No one had to tell you that. You don't know. You saw yourself make the payment. So, whatever. So then he gets up.
It wasn't me. It was the payment leprechaun.
Whatever. Then he just goes off. The next, I was like, oh my gosh.
I gave it 24 hours.
Excuse me. Can you calm down? He's like, well, it should be showing. I mean, he was ready to just go off on these people. And I was just sitting there. He's like, representative on the phone. Calm down, Lovey. Calm down. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to let him go. Let him go. So that was a mistake. I did literally have to kind of save him a little, but.
And after the fact, once they walked me through it and showed me where on the app, which was, by the way, not very intuitive, and I let them know that.
Let them know that.
They're like, duly noted, sir. We will. This is annotated in your notes, and we will talk to somebody about this.
He's so ridiculous,
They not.
guys. He's so ridiculous.
She explained, going forward, this is what you need to do. And she did, but trick's on her. Going forward, I'm just going to let her do it.
Which was the way it should have happened in the first place.
But this is her having my back, right? So different perspectives on how things should operate. Mm-hmm. Had I actually had the foresight to tell her what I was going to do before I did it, it would have saved me a lot of heartache. And that's what I'm talking about. Okay, now that was a saving situation because we just went through that. But there's opportunities. There's business opportunities. There's different things that, we've done things in the past where I was like, hey, I'd like to do this. There's an opportunity to partner up with an individual, make this particular transaction. There's a good return. What? Why are you smiling?
I'm smiling because my go-to is no.
Always.
No, thank you. No, thank you. And he's totally different. He's like,
no risk, no reward.
Yeah. And I'm like, the reward is and I keep my money. So,
And the reward is you get to make money, right? The parable of the talents. Don't bury that talent.
Well, I'm not burying. Anyway.
Grow it. Grow it for the master. So, but those are the things. So, but I see opportunities. We talk about it. She trusts me. And so she's allowing me to actually have her back and to make those moves. And then when we reap the benefits, it's all good. So that's why there's a balance between the two. It's like there's a scale. You have to be able to actually know that by having back to back, having that 360-degree vision, you're able to not just identify problems, you're able to identify opportunities as well. And the beauty of that is that gives you complete vision. 360 degrees is all the way around. The more often we actually practice that, the better we get. It's like developing a skill set to where our antennas are always up. Not that it's taxing us, but the more you do it, the better you get, the more you'll actually end up seeing. We've talked about the reticular activating system in the past. That's a portion of your brain. There's a little spot where you have an opportunity to, the RAS allows you to see things or be open to seeing things in your subconscious. It kind of brings the subconscious piece into your conscious part of your mind. And the things that are subdued, that are always there. Like it's just like when you go to the pantry or the cabinet and you're looking for a jar of peanut butter. And
it's right there, but you don't see it.
It's right there in front of you, but you don't see it because your mind is somewhere else. So many other things are on your mind that you just can't see it. You want the peanut butter, but you're also thinking about the report you have to turn in. You get thinking about you got to pick up the kids at this next time, and I can't believe that my mother-in-law is coming over, and then I got to get the XYZ fix, this, that, and the other. All these things are going through your mind, and the peanut butter, if it had teeth, it would have bit you 5 times. And then when you slow down, you're like, oh, or somebody else, you're like, it's not in here. And then that person goes, it's right here, right in front of you. You're like, oh my goodness, how did I not see that? Well, that RAS, that reticular activating system, go ahead and look it up. Do a Google search or go on YouTube and look up reticular activating system, the RAS, to learn more about it. But what this does is, by us having 360-degree vision in our relationship, in our marriage, it trains us to actually have a more robust relationship with our RAS because we're able to see things. Now there's more in her view, there's more in my view. So there's things that the opportunities, threats that actually show up, we're able to now identify them that much sooner because we have that trust and we're seeing each other and we're calling it out to each other.
Well, and then I mean, you said this earlier. Excuse me. Trust. You can't do this unless you have that trust. I mean, that's just paramount, because I'm not gonna be comfortable with my back and there's threats.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. If you say I got your back, then that means, okay, all I have to do is focus here. But if I don't feel like you really have my back, then my concentration, everything's going to shift. I'm going to be fighting you to turn around to actually see what's going on or whatever, So you have to be able to trust your partner. And if there is a problem, you think about it, then, okay, let's investigate what the situation is. What is the issue? Why is it that I'm not allowing, I'll say I can't. Why is it I'm not allowing you to have my back? Because sometimes I'm trying to have your back and you ain't letting me have it. So, okay, we need to figure that out. What's going on with that? And you and I, or you, whoever watching, I have your back. You have my back. We're together. That's connection. So we're connecting, and I'm relying on you. You're relying on me. And it's not just me doing it. It's you also doing it. So now we're talking about mutual support. So all my resources don't have to be spread so thin. I can now focus because I know Lovey got me. And I'm comfortable. I'm not all being myself, just all over the place, But let's learn how to trust our partners and investigate if there is a challenge. Was it past practice? Did something happen? And if something did happen, okay, so let's work it out. If we want to. Because we can't talk about having a 360 marriage if we're not letting go of the things that happened prior to, but if you're still choosing to be with the partner, if something happened, then why not fix whatever that was? Because why stay there without trying to improve on the challenges? Does that make sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense. And it makes me think of the Sound Relationship House.
Mm-hmm.
The Gottman Institute, which is the foremost authority regarding relationships in the world. It's a little plug for the Gottman Institute. Snooks and I are level 1, level 2 certified when it comes to the Gottman couples therapy method. And one of the things that's taught at the earliest level, even in level 1, is the Sound Relationship House. And they talk about, we've mentioned this multiple times, where you have these load-bearing walls. One wall in the Sound Relationship House is commitment, but the other one is trust. Mm-hmm. And when you look at trust, and again, it's a load-bearing wall. But if that trust wall is faulty, the entire house is going to collapse.
Exactly. The house will not stand.
So there's commitment and trust. And that commitment and that trust have to be in place in order to have a 360 marriage. Mm-hmm. Because I could trust you, but I have to know that you're committed to be there when things get rough.
Right.
When things are actually, that's an element of trust, but you have to know that when the big bad wolf is coming up and huffing and puffing and blowing, that your spouse has got your back.
That's right.
And so know that there's a commitment and then there's trust that allows you to move forward in every season. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to endure some storms. I said nothing about the storms not coming. Remember, I said the big bad wolf is going to come and huff and puff. Life is going to do that to you.
Right. But that's where the support comes in. That's where also, we kind of talked a little bit about it, protecting each other, and that also speaks to loyalty. We got to have the loyalty. Lovey got to know, because if the trust part, how am I gonna know that you gonna be here? oh, if you're not loyal, if I don't trust you, if all these things, it's just like a big cauldron. You just throw all this stuff in, and you stir it up.
It's the chipino of love.
Yeah, I just had some.
Yeah, so think about that. Walk away from, here's your call to action. Have a discussion with your spouse or with your significant other about what it means to have each other's back. Is it just in good times, or is it also in bad times? Are you looking for opportunities or just threats?
And there's different ways of having each other's back. I mean, it doesn't have to be so technical either. Having my back could be just, I'm sorry. I always look at Lovey and then my voice drowns out. And he gives me the eye like speaking to the mic, girl. But no, having my back could just be, a mutual respect or something like that. Celebrating me celebrating you.
Ooh, I like that.
Something like that. Emotional support, showing empathy, having compassion, compromising.
Hey, and protecting you from yourself. Having my back or having her back also means that sometimes me having your back is protecting you from yourself and getting into trouble and doing certain things or putting yourself in a position that is not going to be favorable for you or the family because you're flooded in the moment. Mm-hmm. Your emotions are getting the best of you.
I was going to say, but don't use that as sometimes that could be a weapon. I'm just trying to protect you from you. You still have to have the autonomy to think for yourselves or think together. How about we do this together?
That's right. But it all comes back to trust, right?
Well,
it always comes back to trust.
It's we, not me.
Absolutely.
You talked about Pac and me and my girlfriend. Does it have a song? Me Against the World? Mm-hmm. It's us against the world. It's us. It's not just me. It's us.
It reminds me of those Avenger movies, right? So there was an interview I did recently on the Art of Kings with Sion Stevens. And go check out that podcast. I'm giving a plug. Sion's a great young man out of New York that's doing big things. He's a really young guy, 21 years old, phenomenal podcast. And one of the clips that he did of our conversation, because we had a little bit of a discussion around 360-degree relationship, and he had this clip where it showed the Avengers coming back to back, and it played the music of the Avengers and all that, and it showed the clip. And it was actually when they were in New York fighting the aliens.
Oh, gotcha,
and
gotcha.
The Avengers assembled and but they did it in a circle to where they weren't side by side. They formed a circle and had each other's back, and it was really symbolic. It also reminds me of, again, Avengers, when Captain America was going up against Thanos, and he thought it was just all by himself. And then you hear this on your left, Cap. And Falcon was actually flying in. Then, of course, all the portals started opening up. But it was this trust that even though when he thought he had to stand alone, the moment his best friend shows up and says, on your left, all these people came up and they had his back. It showed Captain America up front, but all these people were behind him, letting him know that we've got your back. You can't do this alone. You can't do this marriage thing alone. And that sounds kind of hokey, right? Because of course you can't do it alone because you're married. But so many of us, particularly men, okay, fellas, let me talk to you, kings.
Hokey.
Let me talk to you. You can't fix your marriage by yourself. You can't grow your marriage by yourself. It's a team sport. And the best way to ensure that you're going to be able to move forward and have years and years and years is by standing back to back with your spouse and making sure that you're talking to each other. And don't forget that communication is a huge part as well.
Effective communication.
Yeah, that's true. I just can't be yelling at you.
Or cussing. Or, I mean, it's not just, when you talk about, a lot of times people think communication, you're thinking verbal, but nonverbal is powerful. Very powerful. So
It goes a long way.
yeah.
I was just talking to someone, and a husband, and I was letting him know. He reached out for some advice, and we were talking, and he's like, "But I listened to her. She comes up, interrupts me. I'm like, you know what? I stop what I'm doing. I'm like, but how do you do it?
Does he do it like you?
It's like a man. Okay, and you like angrily hit the pause on the game or whatever, and you turn. You're like, okay,
Wow.
yes.
Did you all see that? I just want y'all to know.
I saw that. I was acting. I saw that on TV once.
You saw that in the mirror.
So, but it's one of those things where body language says everything. You know, make sure that your nonverbal is matching your heart. Mm-hmm. And if your heart is feeling that way, then you know what? You got some work to do. Go ahead to marriedandcrazy.com and look up couple to couple coaching, and we'll work with you. No, but it's true. I mean, we all have areas that we need to work on. And nobody is perfect at all times.
That's true.
So
Why you was waiting for me to, because I was like, dang, it's quiet.
I was waiting for her to say, but you are, baby. I didn't get it, though, right?
But you are, babe.
No, don't count. Leave me alone.
Oh, see?
So, look, the call to action for this week, honestly, is to have that conversation about what it means to have each other's back, to stand back to back. What is your idea? Does 360 degree marriage make sense to you? Is it valid? Or do you think it's 180? Have that conversation. What we're doing is what we're telling you is what works for us, and what, even though it hasn't been verbalized, other people talked about anecdotally doing the exact same thing. And they've had long-standing relationships. Again, we just celebrated 27 years, and we hope to have 27, 30, 40 more. And it's just a matter of us always refining and getting better. And we take advice and things from people, and we discuss it and try to figure out what's going to work for us and what isn't. Some of the things we share with you may not 100% be something that you want to incorporate into your relationship. Mm-hmm. But there might be 5%, 10%. There might be a couple that we interview, or a subject matter expert, where you're like, oh, I never thought about that. Or I've heard it before, but this makes so much more sense. Mm-hmm. Build your toolbox. Stand back to back and be prepared for anything.
That's right.
So with that said, until the next time,
be blessed.
Be blessed.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovey. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovey can bless your marriage directly.